All right, guys, let's talk about Glass Onion now, a Knives Out mystery. So, Glass Onion, or Knives Out, I should say, was one of my favorite, if not my single favorite movie of 2019. It was a film that took me by surprise, and perhaps I shouldn't have been that surprised because Ryan Johnson, controversial. I like The Last Jedi. I think he did a great job with it. He's a great director. He's a great writer. It obviously has a great cast: Daniel Craig, Ana de Armas, Chris Evans, Michael Shannon. And Jamie Lee Curtis, all that, all those people in the film. And so maybe I shouldn't have been surprised, but again, the film really blew me away with just how well it was able to pull off that murder mystery, kind of whodunit, and really do it effectively. It's hard to do, especially when. I'm not going to say that there's a formula, but it's, there's a way in which you kind of understand, okay, like, you're going through the mystery, you're identifying suspects, and then, you kind of figure it out, or maybe you don't figure it out because it's right under your nose, that kind of thing. But I loved how original Knives Out was because it really told you exactly what happened about halfway through. Spoiler alert, I guess, if you haven't seen Knives Out yet, but you should. But it told you basically what happened in the middle of the film, and then asked you to follow it along in a journey for the rest of the movie as it really unraveled the rest of the layers, no pun intended, Glass Onion. And I thought that was just so clever and so ingenious of it to do. So when it was announced that Glass Onion was going to be made, and that Knives Out 2 was going to happen, and that it was going to be Benoit Blanc, Daniel Craig's detective character, and a new cast, and that was going to be the formula for Knives Out 2, Knives Out 3, and all the Knives Out films after that, I was just so happy. I think that, this is a franchise that can go for as long as Ryan Johnson is able to, and as long as Daniel Craig is able to as well. And I would be more than happy. So again, I went into Glass Onion knowing next to nothing. I barely knew the cast. I knew vaguely Edward Norton, Janelle Monáe, maybe Dave Bautista, but again, Catherine Hahn, but I knew next to nothing. And that's why, if you're watching this review and you haven't seen Glass Onion, which I'm going to assume a decent portion of you haven't, it's on Netflix right now. So if you have Netflix, go out and see it. You don't even have to go out, just stay in and see it. But I'm going to assume that, a good decent portion of you guys haven't seen Glass Onion, and so that's why I'm going to keep it non-spoiler as I talk about the film, and I'm going to reveal as little as possible. So Glass Onion, what I can say is that Benoit Blanc is back, Daniel Craig, because that's the whole point of the series, is that you have Benoit Blanc on a new adventure, and there's an all-new cast. I've mentioned some of the cast members, just a few seconds ago. I'm not going to reveal many more of them because I think it's fun for you to see really who's in the film, but I will say that the cast is incredible. Once again, I think that there are a couple standout characters and a couple standout actors and actresses who I won't reveal. It'll be for you to figure out because it's very clear and apparent why certain actors and actresses do a much better job, not a much better job, but have more to play with within the movie. And Daniel Craig, as always, is just amazing. I love the character of Benoit Blanc. I think that. I love the way that he plays the character. He looks like he's having so much fun with the character, and he's just having a good time. It's really fun to see. I know that everyone's used to the very quiet and serious James Bond version of Daniel Craig, but I personally, I might even like Benoit Blanc more than his version of James Bond. That might be, oops, sorry, I just hit the mic. That might be more controversial. But again, I love the way that he plays the character. I really, really do. So, Benoit Blanc, Daniel Craig is having a great time. Ryan Johnson also directs this film expertly. It's a very different setting and it's a very different kind of mystery than Knives Out was, but it again has that same spirit of Knives Out, which is whimsical, fun, whodunit, but also it's keeping you on your toes constantly. There are things being revealed that make you see the entire film in a completely different light, just as it was with Knives Out, but in a different way. And I think that by the time you sort of have a grasp, this is what makes these movies so fun, is that by the time you really have a grasp, you think you have a grasp of what's going on, something else changes, and your sense of scale and your sense of what's going on is really upended. And so I love that about this movie. Now, I will say that in my opinion, this movie is not as good as Knives Out, which is, again, very hard to do because I think personally Knives Out is one of the best movies made in the last few years. So to say that it's not that it's not nearly as good, but it's not quite as good as Knives Out is no knock against Glass Onion. I think that, once you once you see Glass Onion and see what it's going for, I think that it'll hit different people in different ways. Me personally, as I watched the film wrap up, I kind of went, yeah, I understand what this film is ultimately trying to say, and I think that it was effective in that regard. I think that Rian Johnson did exactly what he set out to do, but at the same time, I also think that it wasn't quite as strong as the sort of flourish and the ending of the original Knives Out, in my opinion. So, but that's just me. You might have a completely different opinion as well. Again, the cast is stellar. The mystery is really intriguing, and it invites you to figure out what happens, but it keeps you on your toes. And again, the sense of scale and the sense of whimsy and the sense of just inviting you on this journey. It's all there. It's all there and that's all you can ever want and expect from a whodunit murder mystery. So I can't say more. I know this is really, really vague of me, but it's a big recommendation. If you have Netflix, please check out Glass Onion. And then hopefully Rian Johnson will continue to make more of these because they're just so fun. Just bring in all the A-list or bring in all the talented Hollywood actors that you can surrounding Daniel Craig, and let's just keep making more of these as long as people want them, which is fantastic.